For my outdoor recreation resource management plan, I chose the provincial park called Turkey Point, which was established in 1959 under the Provincial Parks Act by Regulation 7059. This 311-hectare park was divided into three sections, including the main area overlooking Lake Erie, the wetlands, and the beach. Turkey Point borders Long Point Bay as well as the north shore of Fort Erie, just north of the Long Point Peninsula, including 195 campsites, a picnicking and group campground area, as well as a sand beach located 1 kilometer from the campsites. Turkey Point also homes very significant vegetation life, endangered species, and archaeological sites, as well as the popular North American waterfowl that attracts people from all over. Turkey Point is classified as a recreation class park as it supports a wide variety of desired outdoor recreational opportunities for a large amount of people. Opportunities for outdoor recreation include camping, picnicking, sunbathing, swimming, and golfing, which is the only provincial park in Canada to offer this activity, walking and hiking, birding, which is a form of bird watching, canoeing and kayaking, fishing, and ziplining, as there is a ropes course located within 1 kilometer of Turkey Point campsites. These are just a few visual representations of the resources available within Turkey Point. As there is a high demand for recreational activities in Turkey Point, there is naturally potential conflicts between users. There is a high demand for hunting activity to take place in the forests of Turkey Point, but for safety issues and wildlife management, the activity itself has been banned. Many human impacts have occurred in Turkey Point, influencing the beauty and originality to compensate for an increase in recreational resources, like the creation of the golf course, for example. Since there is a marina located within 2 kilometers from Turkey Point, there is a high demand for motorized boating equipment use in the lake, but this activity has been banned from Turkey Point boundaries to compensate for swimming and other water-based activity. Campsites have also been given designated locations created by clear-cutting, which at one point could have been grounds for the creation of trails and hiking-based activity. In order to manage these conflicts, restrictions have been created to limit the activity that can occur in Turkey Point. There are also campaigns or protection efforts to enforce aesthetic values within Turkey Point. The objectives of Turkey Point have been divided into 4 subcategories with the intentions of contributing to the overall goals of the provincial park system. The first subcategory involves protection of the land, as there are many significant rare plant communities and habitat for endangered species, as well as findings of a designated archaeological site managed by appropriate zoning. The objective of recreation was developed because of its high potential of contribution to the well-being of Turkey Point Provincial Park, as there is a wide variety of outdoor recreational resource opportunities. It is also a main goal of Turkey Point to share and provide the experience of the outdoor culture and heritage of Ontario. This objective was shaped from the intentions of the park wanting to portray a positive Canadian image for visitors. Because of the rich vegetation, wildlife, and wide variety of outdoor recreational activity, the park naturally attracts many users from in and out of province, averaging 100,000 people annually, contributing extreme financial benefits to our province. Turkey Point's carrying capacity is currently being pushed to extreme limits. In terms of ecological carrying capacity, we are beginning to see negative side effects in reference to the integrity of the park's environment. Turkey Point's main goal is to increase the number of annual visitors each year and is currently challenging the limits that the land can handle and overwhelming the social carrying capacity. Some environmental indicators that Turkey Point is operating under unsustainable conditions are the clear-cutting of trees to make room for more recreational activities, the paving of roads and parking lots which have disrupted habitats and led to further social impacts, as well as wear and tear from overuse on the beach, golf course, and campsites. Recreation indicators touch on the need for social carrying capacity. The increase in parking lots indicates a lack of care for the natural beauty of the area and the desire to attract more people and make more money. This also directly decreases the quality of air in the area. More trails are currently being produced in Turkey Point's already limited space, leading to further erosion and trampling issues. The increase in human capacity to the park also decreases the level of enjoyment for visitors, as beaches and other resources are crammed with people. Zoning procedures have been put into effect by dividing the landmass of Turkey Point into 4 main zones. The Natural Reserve Zone accounts for the areas that are protecting significant species of plant communities and wildlife, and the Development Zone is dedicated to expanding the park in terms of recreation. The Natural Environment Zone was created to maintain the area's natural and unique landscape, while finally the Historical Zone encompasses archaeological findings of Aboriginal and early European sites. Another management strategy is to rationalize the number of people that can visit the site on a regular basis, as the social impacts of Turkey Point are currently overwhelming to all. Another strategy implemented in management tactics is the restriction of activities that are harmful to the environment. For further detail, please review this PowerPoint slide, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to continue on. We will also begin to create some physical alterations in the park, like a decrease in parking activity to encourage people to leave their motorized vehicles at home. We will also be educating and encouraging our users to practice leave no trace strategies in order to enhance user quality of care to the park. Finally, we will be enforcing these management procedures by having staff present on site at all times, making sure that users are operating in an environmentally safe manner and following the new guidelines of Turkey Point. These procedures are based on the Visitor Activity Management Protocol, compensating for user needs as well as the integrity of Turkey Point. The procedures also indicate an area of improvement for Turkey Point staff to strive to achieve. The Leave No Trace guidelines will also be enforced to promote this lifestyle not only within the park, but in the rest of the province and the country as well. In Plummer's article, he discussed the Visitor Activity Management Protocol. Essentially, what this framework focuses on is aiding in the decision-making process for outdoor recreational resources, in compensating for user preferences, aesthetic values, and the park's needs as well. For further details, please refer to this article available under Module Number 5 on the Rec and Leisure 3P06 Sakai page. The procedures indicated in the management plan portray both direct and indirect strategies. The indirect strategies are ways to influence others in making a desired choice, like the physical alterations education of Leave No Trace, as well as enforcement of these principles. Direct strategies are a set of rules or guidelines that participants have to abide by if they want to use the resources. These strategies include zoning restrictions, social carrying capacity reevaluation, and restriction of certain activities. Since boating and hunting are in high demand in Turkey Point but are restricted activities, we see the trend of people who are interested in these activities not generally coming to Turkey Point. As social carrying capacity and crowding are already issues in Turkey Point, this is not necessarily a bad thing, as hunters and boaters would only further add to this problem, as well as create several detrimental impacts on the environment by participating in their choice of recreation. In order to monitor these management procedures, regular evaluations will be conducted by measuring participant satisfaction, observational impacts on the environment like levels of wear and tear, for example, and judgments as to how well the park is doing will be made in order to follow the Visitor Activity Management Protocol framework. We will also have monthly meetings in order to discuss the effectiveness and levels of adherence of the management plan, while remaining flexible and making any necessary changes. We will receive feedback in order to evaluate the park from issuing a series of satisfaction questionnaires to all participants and make judgments by observing the natural resources of Turkey Point as a team. Public involvement can be a useful tool in receiving volunteers and assistance in enhancing the natural beauty of the park. A potential idea could involve hosting a community day to educate the public of the importance of Turkey Point in their community. Donations will also be accepted, as in the long run, this financial income will enhance the entire community. It is important that we are flexible when evaluating and implementing our management procedures. If we are receiving negative satisfaction measures consistently from users, we need to look into other uses for these resources or adjust to the resource to benefit the actual activity. Electric campsites are an example. If we eliminate all electric campsites for the environmental benefits, but begin to receive complaints and participants become very scarce, then changes will be made to compensate for this action. In summary, Turkey Point needs to make changes in how they are utilizing the natural resources in the area, as the routines being implemented are harmful to the environment and are unsustainable methods. A shift from economic goals to aesthetic values are important for Turkey Point in managing resources like the beach, the lake, and the forested areas to compensate for the integrity of the land and is necessary for the sustainability of the park. Reduction of human impacts in terms of creating roads, trails, and parking lots for means of recreation also have to be reduced or put on hold in order to work on the park's natural beauty and restoration to its original form. This concludes my presentation. I hope you all found it interesting and enjoyed it. I look forward to viewing everybody else's management plans. Thank you.